What's the good word, y'all? It's your boy DKB here. So we took an L. I'm dropping this before I even officially finish the game. This is out of hand. It's 30-10 right now for sure. But even with this loss, what I'll say is there were some very encouraging things. Now, one of the biggest things that are going to irk me walking away from this game is that even leading up until halftime, 18-10, we looked solid, had a few shots there at the end of the first half, but we need to see Nathaniel Hackett find another way to be able to attack defenses that are loading the box, because we think about it from one standpoint that, we have 8-9 guys between the tackles that are coming rushing in to stop the run. That also means you have 8 or 9 potential guys that if that's a pass play, they're hitting home. And so we need to be able to do some other things outside of trying to get the screen game going to get that done. Now, whether that's them limiting Zach Wilson from making mistakes in man coverage, and we know he wasn't the best at being able to attack that last season, or they just don't trust his ability to go through his progressions on the outside. We need to have another tool in our belt that we can rely on, again, outside of those screen passes, because we've seen the Cowboys eat those up the entire game. But ugly is ugly. They blew it open in the third quarter against us. We had opportunities, though. This was, to me, one of those games where you kind of seen the entire team, let Robert Saleh down. And I don't want to put the defense out there as saying that, they're not necessarily looking the same as last year. I still think they look very, very good. But seeing how CeeDee Lamb absolutely torched everybody in our secondary, and then, of course, them being gassed the entirety of the game. Literally, the Cowboys, I don't think they've had anything less than, 6-7 play drives. And that's after they've been able to eat up chunk plays the entire time. So, tough seeing that. We had the missed interception from Sauce Gardner, when we could have took full advantage, right? At that point, you're talking about him walking into the end zone, and I believe it's a 14-10 game for the Jets at that point. That could have absolutely flipped everything with how this game would have operated. We had the Dalvin Cook fumble. Was that, I think, in towards the tail end of the third. We've seen him lead the league last year in fumbles, and so in a very short sample size so far with Dalvin Cook, it hasn't looked great. He didn't impress anybody last week. I want to say he had 13 rushes, 33 yards. This game, all he did was hurt the New York Jets. And so we need to find a way to get him going, right? It was supposed to be one of the best 1-2 punches in the NFL, and so far it just looks like we have a knockout punch, and that's it in the backfield. We've seen the left side of our offensive line get abused. I'm picking on them specifically, even though we've seen it with everybody. But between Dwayne Brown and Laken Tomlinson, it looks like we woefully overbought on them as free agents, for one, even though we had to depend on Dwayne Brown. And two, I think we expected a much better version of Dwayne Brown, knowing that he's coming back with 2 healthy shoulders. He had the majority of the offseason where he didn't have to worry about, going through drills, etc., etc. Maybe he needed to work looking at things now. If not, you're looking at the most healthy version of him you're going to get. I think right now we're seeing an aging veteran that's not benefiting from the presence of an Aaron Rodgers as maybe as expected, and having Zach Wilson back there, knowing that things may take a little bit longer in terms of running through progressions, allowing plays to develop, and kind of finding a rhythm. I think we may be seeing a version of Dwayne Brown where he struggles for the majority of the year against some of these pass rushers. Granted, Michael Parsons is elite. He's a man of a different nature, but it wasn't a great game by him nonetheless. Really the entire offensive line, but from Mekhi Becton and Dwayne Brown, if they weren't getting beat, they were getting flagged for false starts and penalties to let you know how on edge they were against these opponents. I counted 6 before I kind of stopped checking things out with like 7 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter after Zach Wilson's interception deep trying to go to Garrett Wilson. So it was overall just a dominant day by the Cowboys, being able to get after Zach Wilson, being able to control everything. I mean, they more than doubled the Jets in time of possession, forced more than double the punts that the Jets were able to give opportunities back to the Cowboys, ran more than double the plays that the Jets had an opportunity to. We went, I think, at least 1 for 9 on third downs before I checked out. And then I seen a stat that flashed up that basically said the New York Jets and Zach Wilson were pressured on essentially somewhere between 70 and 75% of our dropbacks this game. So, again, everybody kind of got the work. Dwayne Brown, Laken Tomlinson, Connor McGovern, wherever Micah Parsons were lined up at, that's where the pressure was essentially coming from. And then everybody else was able to feast around him if not. But I have to keep in mind, Zach Wilson's escapability, that's one of the superpowers, as we like to call it, for him. Things would have looked even more bleak if it wasn't for him being able to escape a lot of those pressures and trying to run outside the pocket. We just didn't have a chance to take advantage of anything once he got out. So, again, I think we need to hit the drawing board. We need to seriously take a look at who we have on offense because we have playmakers everywhere. Nothing's changed about what we felt this team was prior to Aaron Rodgers getting hurt. It's just that we knew he was going to take advantage of things much more so than Zach Wilson is. But we are seeing a decent version of Zach Wilson. I like some of the throws that we've seen him make. Once you got into the mid-third quarter to the fourth quarter and you've seen those boxes lighten up, you've seen Zach Wilson take some of those shots, and things looked good when he did. So I'm not really, the interception was purely his fault. Both of them. I'm not really chalking it up too much to anything other than it's late. It's essentially a blowout already, and you're trying to make some plays. So I don't want to be too hard on an offense. I think this one deserves a lot of blame by the coaching staff specifically. But yeah, it's mistakes all over the place between the offense and us not capitalizing on defense when we were in the game and had had the option to take the lead with that Sauce Gardner play. And I know that'll probably eat him up. He highlighted that last week where he was, a little bit upset he couldn't make some plays. He wants to be known as that game changer. And then we also have to keep in mind, if it wasn't for that huge Zach Wilson and Garrett Wilson, catch that went to the house, things look terrible for us this week. We're talking about only being able to put up 3 points in 4 quarters. So, we knew the kicking change was going to cause some problems for us as well, not being able to take some of those opportunities when we did get to their side of the field, which didn't happen often, but nonetheless, there was a lot of things that kind of put us off kilter today. So we know what our team essentially looks like right now against an elite defense. There is a lot of cause for hope, as I've highlighted throughout this video, that we were in the game, at least, heading into halfway through the third quarter. There's a lot of things to clean up for us, but there's a lot of decent things that can be built on, not to kind of get into coach speak. We're talking about a lack of plays from Breece Hall, lack of explosive plays, I should say, from Breece Hall. And we knew those 8-9 man boxes were going to, get to him at some point. So we'll see what happens. To be honest, we need to kind of pick apart the Cowboys' game plan. If anybody's going to understand how to attack an elite defense, we just seen the Cowboys give us a blueprint. We need to be able to utilize the short passing field. Dak Prescott, Zach Wilson, they're in 2 separate leagues at this moment. But yeah, I mean, even if you want to go back to what a lot of us mentioned last week, give Zach Wilson his half-field reads. Take your shots deep when you get the chance. If we're going to see man coverage more often than not, then with Garrett Wilson on the outside, you should be able to take advantage of those, put Tyler Conklin in those one-on-one situations. And if we see a game like today where Dwayne Brown's getting beat religiously, for the love of God, put a CJ Uzomah on his side. I don't care what it looks like ops-wise and that you don't trust him or not. Give the man some help because he got beat outside, he got beat inside. It was pretty bad. So let me know what your guys' hot takes and takeaways were from this particular game. But keep your heads up. 1-1 in the division, or 1-1 in the conference. Still up there within the division. And, even though our schedule is pretty tough, I think next week we are looking at, hold on, let me double check. Next week we will have the Patriots. So another very winnable game, put us at 2-1, still gives us an opportunity to stay in the thick of things for the playoff picture. But again, let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you again. Peace.